Hey everybody, Shane here from VidGamiac.com. Here we are today back in Realm Royale going for Geared Out. This is to have a full kit of legendary equipment. This can be done in any one of the Battle Royale modes, so make sure you hop into the game. Now, at the time of making this guide, the requirements for the achievement is to have these four things equipped at the same time. You're going to need to have a legendary movement ability, and then you're going to need to have 3 of the 4 remaining slots filled out with legendaries. So this is going to be any combination of legendary weapons and legendary normal abilities. You're going to have 2 slots of each, so that can either be 2 legendary weapons and 1 legendary ability, or 2 legendary abilities and 1 legendary weapon. So my only real advice is once you get into the game, you're going to want to play with a scavenger mindset. I'm going to recommend that you try to avoid fights and just try to scavenge as much loot as you can. You definitely want to make sure you are on the lookout for epic gear, as you can take those to a forge and then upgrade those to legendary. So all the meanwhile, any gear that you come across that isn't going to be particularly useful, just make sure you break those up. Click on the right stick, break those down into shards, and make sure you bank up your shards so you always have cash in your pocket for those upgrades. Now, however easy this is going to basically come down to your luck. If you get super lucky, you should be able to pull legendary gear out from normal chests or loot them off of players you kill. But if your luck isn't holding out, you're definitely going to need to fall back on the forge. Definitely the hardest thing to get the legendary for is going to be the movement ability, because movement abilities are for the most part going to be class specific. It's going to be really hard to find one out in the wild. So you may have to upgrade your movement ability from common all the way up to legendary, which is going to involve 2 trips to a forge. So I am going to recommend that you get those upgrades out of the way as soon as possible while the map has as many forges as it can hold, as once the storm starts closing in, you are going to start losing access to forges that get caught up in the fog. So make sure you do keep that in mind. Head to the forge, make sure you hit up the upgrade tab, and make sure you invest those upgrades in your movement ability and get that thing to legendary so we can get that taken care of. Now, remember, it's going to be 1 upgrade per forge, so you are going to have to make the most out of the finite amount of forges on the map. And of course, the number of forges is going to shrink as the game is going to go on. So definitely try to tackle the forges that are going to be away from the center of whatever the final map is going to be, and then just work your way inward as the game progresses. As you are moving between forges, make sure you keep your scavenging up. Remember, you do need to save up shards in order to afford the upgrades, so make sure you try to find things to break down so you can get enough cash in order to afford whatever your next upgrade is. And then while you are scavenging, you should have a chance of pulling other legendaries. That being said, if you can hold out late enough into the game, you should have access to the drop chests. These are going to be chests that are going to be spawned in by drop ships. They're going to flash on your mini map. They're also going to be designated by the beams of light. Make sure you head up to these. You are going to need to open them up, and they're going to usually contain very valuable gear, including legendary gear. So hopefully your luck can hold out with these, and hopefully they do contain things you are looking for, whether that be abilities or weapons. So as soon as they start showing up, you want to make sure you make it a priority to go after them while trying to go to your next forge. So make sure you try to stop along the way and keep an eye out for those supply drops, and you should be able to rack up a ton of legendary gear this way. So unless you get super lucky early on, this is probably going to take up the bulk of the game, so hopefully you are also well equipped enough to defend yourself from the other players. But nonetheless, once you are able to get that full legendary equipment kit, you should be good for the achievement. There it is. This one's going to be for 50 gamer score, and that's all there is to it.